I'd like to call this meeting to order. Tonight we have two meetings, so we're going to go ahead and start out with the going to open up the council have a roll call here, but it's going to be a public hearing considering the proposed approval of Princeton Business District Number 1. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mayor Mabry.
Here.
Councilmember Newman.
Here.
Gomez.
Here.
McCall.
Here.
And Selesky.
Here. Okay, with that said, we're going to go ahead now and we're going to explain what's going on tonight. We're going to start with Michael Ziering to give an overview, and then we have also Herb Klein here representing the law firm we're using for this business development district. Michael?
Yes, so the point of this business development district is to address some of the signs we've seen lately as far as economics go. We have blighted areas, we have not crumbling I should say, but historic buildings that are at risk. We have a factory closing, we have many empty storefronts, we have a very competitive housing market. So the goal of this would be to address our housing stock and help us partner with businesses, new and existing, to grow, to expand, or to locate in Princeton, to address streetscape issues, to clean up blight, and to steady buildings. We think it's going to be a great tool for us to address a lot of issues here in town. I'm happy to answer any questions beyond that.
What we're going to do tonight then, Michael, is we're going to have you step off to the side, and we're going to have Herb get up and give a little presentation, and then we're going to get questions and answers back and forth, please. And also, Herb will explain about the state of Illinois allows a statute to allow us to be able to implement this program.
All right. Thank you, Mayor, and welcome. Thank you all, and glad to be here tonight. And I will say it's been a pleasure working with you all. Michael's been wonderful, easy to work with, and the information going back and forth, along with Cole McDaniel, Hometown Consulting, to be used. All that process, if you remember, a couple months ago, I think I was over here for a meeting and we talked about it. This is the next to last step. The last step would be the council considering the ordinance to establish what the state of Illinois calls a business district, or a business development district, some people refer to it as. It allows a municipality to impose up to 1%. It can be a quarter, it can be a half, it can be 3/4. It's got to be a 1/4% increments. Additional sales tax over a designated area, and then that money will be returned to the city separately by the state of Illinois as they collect your sales tax, and directed to a fund to be used to promote some of the public infrastructure improvements you might want to make in the area, such as pedestrian walkways, bicycle access, landscaping, that type of thing, but also be made available if you want to offer some assistance to some of the businesses in the area, whether it's facade improvements, whether it's renovating their business, whether it's constructing a new business, improving their parking, filling in vacancies, those types of things. So they become relatively common and popular in Illinois as a way for a local municipality to address its own unique concerns. By last count, the Illinois Department of Revenue says there are 296 business development districts in the state of Illinois and about 189 municipalities. Some have more than one. That number after April 1st will increase significantly to over 300. These can be adopted twice a year in Illinois, either by April 1st, and then the sales tax will start being collected July 1st, or by October 1st, and then the sales tax will start being collected the following January 1st. So we did a study. The map is in the handout for tonight. There were 954 parcels within the area, starting up north on I-80, coming down through essentially. Princeton is very fortunate. You have in essence two downtown business districts. We have the one at the north end, since we come off of 80, and then we have this traditional downtown here where we sit with Courthouse Square. And then we also went out east and west to pick up some additional properties that you have some vacancies, have some commercial properties that you would like to assist as well. So we found that the area qualifies as a whole. I think the qualifications were just over 80%. You have to look at the area as a whole. Every individual property doesn't have to qualify, but the majority have to under the act in Illinois, and here we have a clear majority. And, please, if your business is included in qualifying, we're not commenting on the condition of your business per se, because the qualifications under the act, when they talk about blight and they talk about deterioration or needed improvements, they're really talking about the broad sense. Obviously, a lot of older traditional downtowns were platted long ago. The buildings don't necessarily accommodate modern needs, modern ADA needs, modern parking needs. A lot of business districts are improving the appearance of their downtown, improving walkability, pedestrian access. So all those factors go into the qualification. I would also add that you have the ability to also apply it to your hotel motel tax. That's something that's collected locally. So if you decide to do that, we will have to notify the hotel motels in town. They would start collecting that additional tax as of July 1, and because that's remitted locally, not through the state. The sales tax, the state will update their process. They will update all the businesses that have a sales tax number and file with the state, and we'll apply it that way. So that said, it's a public hearing. I don't want to do all the talking. I want to see if there's questions or comments, whether it's from the council or anyone here in the public.
Very good, Herb. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and start with the public that's here tonight. All you have to do is just come up and state your name and ask questions, and we've got resourcing here tonight, so if you'd like to start with anyone here, just state your name, please.
Ernest Whittington. Last meeting, you guys had a lady get up and ask questions about this tax, and you did not answer one of them. Ma'am, it is what's known as the retailer's occupation tax. Every business has to file an ST1 every month. Of that, 1.75% goes to the city of Princeton. She also asked who's going to receive this money, how is it going to be doled out or whatever. Is it going to be like the $50,000 COVID grant we had that nobody knows where it went and it just disappeared? My business had a recent issue with water, which we won't go into. It cost me $7,000 to fix it. I'm a small business. I asked if there was a grant available. I was told no. Is this going to cover something like that for the other businesses besides mine? My little place generates, our sales tax was $800 a month average. So figure that out with all the businesses in this town. If you buy something, you're paying sales tax on it. The city decided in its ultimate wisdom to keep the 1% grocery tax, which the state of Illinois did away with. That's averaging $350,000 to $400,000 a year. Their fuel tax, November 24 of last year was $15,700. Of that can only be used for streets, alleys, sewers, traffic lights, whatever. The city receives 5% gaming tax on all of the games in town. They also get $250 per machine from each one of these businesses. And the city of Princeton does not release their standalone gaming income. It's into their budget. Around us, average income on gaming is $325,658 a year. As for generating new business coming to town, we had a cannabis store tried to come to town. They were turned away. Do I agree with cannabis? No. The taxes they generate would have been awesome. Look at the city of Ottawa. Look at the city of Peru. And they've had no trouble with it. Excuse me. We're fighting. The small businesses are fighting a new generation. They're buying online. Your brick and mortar buildings are slowly going away. But anything that's purchased online There's still an 8% sales tax to the state of Illinois, which the city gets 1.75%. Okay, now, everybody says about businesses coming to town. Let's get real. Trees, streetlights aren't going to bring us a business to town. They want to know about qualified employees. They want to know about overhead. They want to know about available parking. They want to know about a draw to the people. They want to know friendliness of the city. They want to know crime rate. They want to know taxes. They want to know insurance. One of you here last meeting praised the body shop out to the west end of town, which is great. I'm out there. But all of us that are out there have redone our buildings in the last 3 or 4 years and made that in the town look good. But have any one of the city officials walked out and asked, how's business? How can the city help you? No. It's all about downtown. And I'm sorry, but that's wrong. If we want to bring business to town, let's get our head out of our butt and quit throwing money at it and maybe change our attitude in what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ernie. Before we go on, if we could, now, we're not here to go back and forth with like a court setting, but I just want to double check things on our numbers. The state of Illinois gets 6.25%, right, Michael? And I have my notes here, but I got it under the stack. The county gets 1%, so that gets us up to 7%, and then we are at 8% right now. So we get 0.75% is what we get, Ernie. So just so you know, we're glad to give that county the 1%. And we've got 0.75%. The state takes 6.25%. So we got the smallest cut right now going on that, a total of 8%.
Well, Mayor, the only thing I would say on the 6.25%, just to be clear, the 6.25% that the state collects, the state keeps 5% of that. 1% is returned to the city. 0.25% is returned to the county.
Very good. I appreciate that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And to go along with that, Herb, on new vehicle sales or vehicle sales is 6.25%.
6.25%.
And then would that be the same, the 1.25%?
So the BD, the Business Development District tax, does not apply to anything that's titled. So new or used vehicles that are titled, the tax would not apply to that. It also does not apply to grocery items. It does not apply to medicine, prescriptions. It does not apply to most medical aids, such as a cane or a walker or something like that.
Thanks, Herb. Appreciate that. Let's do this. Let's go on. Again, Ernie, got a lot of questions and comments on both parties there. Let's see if there's anyone else who would like to speak tonight. They come up to the podium. Please, Michael.
Yes, I'm good. Thank you.
Just state your name, please.
Oh, yes. My name is Michael Lau. I've been down here in your town for 19 years. And I've come down to talk to you about what is the quality of life. Do any of you here in this City Council here know what the quality of life means? It is a comprehensive, subjective measure of an individual's overall well-being, from physical health, mental state, and social relationships, personal beliefs. It reflects a person's satisfaction with their life, including their ability to function, their comfort level, and enjoyment, which can vary based on individual experiences and circumstances. Key aspects of qualities of life: physical health, the ability to perform daily activities, your level of pain, management of chronic conditions, psychological, emotional well-being, levels of your happiness, security, and your contentment, environmental factors, safety, security, access to quality housing and education, and net health care, personal autonomy, the degree of freedom, your independence, your control over decision making, like what? Your health, your work, your financial, material, and your well-being. Also, belonging, personal safety, quality of environment, quality, emotional well-being, social relationships, religious and spiritual status, access to that health care, having preventive screenings, vaccinations, affordable medical care, functional autonomy to live an independent, move freely, manage daily personal care, mental well-being, feeling safe, reducing stress, and having a healthy habits. Regular physical activity, factors influencing quality of life, can change based on life events, based as illnesses, job loss, or personal achievements. Key factors influencing it include material well-being. We all want that adequate income and financial stability, purpose and belonging, having personal goals, any sense of community, work-life balance, the ability to balance professional responsibilities with personal time. Now, what I haven't heard is this word called affordability. Affordability. We hear all about affordability. What is affordability? Okay, what is affordability? Something is reasonable. It is priced and within a person's financial means, allowing them to buy or obtain it without excessive expense. Key aspects of affordability, budget friendly, price low enough for the average person, not excessive, and reasonable cost, contextual, affordable to a person's income or financial market. Examples in context: housing. Is the city developing affordable housing for low-income families? Rent-controlled, affordable, low-income housing. What have we done here in this town for the low-income people when it comes to our housing here? Products. They offer stylish clothing at affordable prices. Services. The company provides affordable health insurance plans. Now, let's do this symbolically. We have the chicken and the egg. Okay? Which comes first? It has to be the chicken for us to have the egg. Now, what comes first? Do we put the horse before the cart or the cart before the horse? The horse goes before the cart. So now, when it comes down to this, when it comes to quality of life, do we have quality of life and affordability? Or do we have affordability, then quality of life? Affordability directly dictates quality of life. How, you ask of me? By determining access to essential needs like safe housing, nutritious food, our health care and education. When costs exceed income, what happens? Families face chronic stress, poor health, limited opportunities. The housing expenses, if they go up, it forces sacrifices on basic necessities. Key ways affordability impacts quality of life and health. Well-being. High housing costs, rent and mortgage, forced trade-offs leading to missed medical care, poor nutrition, and chronic stress. Housing stability. Lack of affordability causes housing instability. Remember that. Remember it. Ingrain it in your brain. Lack of affordability causes housing instability. Overcrowding or that homelessness rate. There it goes. Homelessness. Where does it come from? Affordability problem. Okay. Which leads to increased risk of infection and mental health issues. Environmental quality. Low-income households have less safe housing, being exposed to mold and lead. Neighborhood opportunities. They want access to safe, stable neighborhoods. What better schools and green spaces and transportation? All right. We also want that financial security. When the big three. What are those big three? It is that housing, food, and transportation take up most of their income. Households cannot save, leaving them vulnerable to unexpected emergencies. Households that are spending more than 30% of their income on housing have significant lower levels of life satisfaction. Those spending more than 50% report even lower levels. Now, the cost of living. This is March 1st, 2026. Cost of living. More than 1 in 5 households over the age of 65 rely on Social Security for more than 90% of their income, and more than half of the households over the age of 55, they have nothing saved for retirement. The high cost of living is just shredding their safety nets, and the retirees are worried about paying for groceries, housing, health care, and utilities. Now, I was down here at a city council meeting. It was a meeting that we were going to talk about, were we going to keep Teresa as our city council, on the city council as our city manager. There was a man that got up. I did not speak to him before, during, or after. He got up and he said something to us about our leaders lacking vision and something about people perishing. Now, I got a feeling that that man come down here and that he was talking about a BDD, economic development, money. I don't believe he's coming down here to the city council to save his soul. You go to a church for that. So I got a feeling that that's what that man was talking about down there. He was talking about this, money. But, see, the thing is, I don't know if I want to share this with you now. Because what that man was talking about was Proverbs chapter 29, verse 18. I had this lesson already wrote out before I even came down here. And isn't that something? I come down here and you guys were talking about that night. I don't know, maybe I should share that with you now. Everybody's here. Because it has something to do with vision. You know, and it is. You want to know why I come down here? I come down to this town to see what you're doing. And in here in Proverbs, you're going to hear me use that. And it'll be, what are you doing? It says here, when our leaders lose or lack their or that vision and are stuck in their or that indecision, vision, do our leaders lack that vision? My God, the God of all gods, lives his morning. Where, people? In the book of Proverbs. Where there is no vision, you're having the power to foresee consequences, the people will perish. But he or she that keepeth the law, oh, happy is he or she. Proverbs chapter 29, verse 18. The leaders of our many societies, when lacking that vision, are they more focused on the joys and, of course, the benefits of this present age and ignore having that vision on our future? The trends and the decisions we see today all have consequences, and they are coming, whether we want them to or not. My King Jesus Christ saith, difficult times in his coming, return cannot be stopped. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no woman, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. Matthew chapter 24, verse 39. Watch therefore, yea, you and I, all of us, knoweth not what hour our Lord doeth come, do we? No, we don't. Matthew chapter 24, verse 42. But knoweth this, that if the good man or good woman of the house had known and watched that the thief would come in, then he or she would have watched and would not have suffered his or her house to be broken into and broken up. Matthew chapter 24, verse 43. Therefore, be ye, you and I, all of us, be also ready. For in such an hour as ye, you and I, all of us, thinketh, what are you thinking? Not that the Son of Man will not cometh. Matthew chapter 24, verse 44. Who then is a faithful and wise servant? You, me? Who is that faithful servant whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household to give them meat? What meat? That is an essential or principal part of something, people. Our King Jesus Christ returning with his Father's kingdom in due season. You see, it's an act of sowing and reaping. Watching and being ready when our King Jesus Christ returns. Matthew chapter 24, verse 45. Blessed is that servant whose Lord, when he cometh, shall find. So, yea, you and I doing. What are you doing? That's what I come down to see. What are you doing here?
Michael, if we could, if you take
Sure.
one more minute here, if you wrap this up, please.
I can quit right here. That's fine.
Why
I
don't you
think you got my point.
No, why don't you summarize this in general? Your concern is,
No, really,
are you
seriously.
for the business development district or against it?
I'll tell you what I think about it. I feel that it is another tax on the taxpayers. And that when you do that, that makes it hard for people that are on fixed incomes. You have to watch where you go and what you buy. Because that 1% can, half a cent can be now a 1%, depending on how many purchases you make during the day. And then if you go and make another purchase, it could be a cent and a half, couldn't it? Percentage and a half. Now, that would go on day after day after day.
Well, and I appreciate it. I just wanted to get your thoughts on this.
What I would say is I'd probably limit purchases at those businesses then, is what I would do. I mean, if I go down to the library and you guys are going to put a tax on my cookies down there and a coffee, and you go down to Beck's and I want a donut or some coffee or something, and you want to put a tax on that too, you have to think about that.
Again, we appreciate your comments. Why don't we, and you'll have an opportunity to comment again if you need to later in the meeting.
Oh, yes, most definitely. I appreciate you letting me come down and speak like this.
I've enjoyed our friendship. I know
It
that
does get 0.25% on the car sale.
Yes.
when you talked about when you first came to Princeton, I know it's how you ended up coming to Princeton, so I appreciate that. How long you been in Princeton?
Well, it's been 19 years, and your town is a very, very special town.
We're glad to have you.
Much more special than it is to all of you people.
Yep.
You don't know the whole story of why I have come down here to this town.
Well, we're
Thank you
glad to
very
have you.
much for letting me speak tonight.
You're welcome,
I
Michael.
appreciate
We're
that.
good. Let's see if there's anyone else who likes to speak tonight. Geraldine, way in the back. Let's go with Geraldine, please.
My name is Geraldine Woodleaf. I've lived here for 40 years. My first question is on this piece of paper. I guess I don't read enough what's going on, just as you have other things, and a lot of people don't know what's going on. And I'm reading this. This is the paper you just handed out. Notice of public hearing. I knew about this because I was at the last meeting 2 weeks ago. And it says here that you can give questions and so forth and so on. Where was this submitted before I see this today?
Sure, Michael,
It was read in the VCR twice.
It has been in the
It has been in the
VCR.
VCR twice.
I guess I don't read enough of the VCR. I look at the old
Yeah, the law requires it to be published.
Oh,
twice.
I'm sure there's
And then
laws.
it's been posted here as well.
Well, as they said, I knew that. But as you can see, like other things the city has had, including talking about the sheriff, about the county did that, and others, and I see just a very few people. This, to me, is very few people. I'm sorry.
Well, Michael, you had a prior, it's not required by statute, public meeting that was very well attended, correct?
What? We had 6 people at the first meeting, we had 12 people at the second meeting, and there were, 60 people at the Metro Center?
70. We
7, mea culpa, I didn't count them all. I had to leave for another meeting at 6:30 with 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Okay. I took 2 days and got signatures from our dear friends here at Princeton, business owners, and guess what? Everybody said, forget it. I'll give you the list. You can see who your friends are that are not interested in this tax.
Sure. Very good. Thank you, Geraldine.
Thank you.
We've got plenty of time here. This is what this is all about. Somebody like to come up and speak? Feel free. Lynn Old, please. State your name, please.
Was any of this given any business? It was run in the VCR, and
Was any of it given to any of the businesses?
Let's do this. If you could, Ernie, we'd love to have you get back up to the podium if you want to speak. But that's not fair to Michael as well. Let's try to, please, Lynn Old, if you would, just state your name.
My name is Lynn Old, and I don't have something prepared and written because I spoke to the city council about this a long time ago whenever it was first announced and expressed my support. But in listening to, I've been to all of these meetings regarding this, and I'm hearing a lot of comments, and I just wanted to share my own observations and my own knowledge. Now, I have had the opportunity to sit in on some of these committee meetings, the economic development, which specifically has talked about the DDD in there. And before I go any further, I would like to express thanks to Michael Ziering especially and Teresa for all of the time and effort that they've put in this, because some people are presenting it like there has not been a lot of thought that has went into this and it's an easy way out, and that absolutely is not the case. There has been a lot of thought, and they have spent a lot of time talking about and considering specifically the people of Princeton. But some things that I just want to point out, and I'm not going to stand up here forever, that this BDD proposal is one component of economic development. It is not the end all to all economic development, but it is a crucial piece. Have things changed? They've absolutely changed things. We cannot continue to do business the way that we always have because the world has changed. And if you drive through town, you see the empty buildings, you know that things are changing. And we need, and by we, I mean this entire community, Princeton and the surrounding communities, need to support our businesses now, and we can't wait until all the storefronts are empty, because at the point that that happens, it's going to be too late. So the people of the city have had the vision to see what they can do to help these businesses and put themselves in a position where they can offer support in the future, not just to attract new businesses, but to support our existing businesses so that they're able to stay here. And I think that's powerful, and I think that's valuable. The other thing that the city has had the vision to capture is not taking all those dollars from the people who live in the 61356. That is, to me, one of the best parts for people who live in Princeton. I don't live in Princeton, but I work in Princeton, I shop in Princeton, I spend a lot of money in Princeton. But it was important to the city to provide help to the businesses here in town without taking all of the money from here in town. So what the sales tax does is it enables us to capture money from people outside of Princeton who come from different communities. And I'm going to share some numbers with you that you're going to have to say what the program is, that actually quantifies that for you. But before I start that, I actually, when this first came up, I made a little spreadsheet of what if we did this at 0.25%, 0.5%, 0.75%, 1%, and the average dollars spent, and it was very minimal. So if you haven't taken the time to do that math, I ask that you take the time to do and see how much that actually is going to impact your bottom line at the end of the day. So here's some stats that I have from, what is the name of this program?
Placer AI.
Placer AI. So this is legitimate numbers that I've heard vaguely before. I just got these in black and white about 2 minutes ago when I told Jenica that I would like to come up here and say something. The daytime population of Princeton grows by 1,200 to 1,500 people a day between visitors and employees. That is a big jump. 47% of the shoppers at Walmart, who would be in the BDD, are from Princeton. 53% are visitors. Casey's on North Main, only 27.6% of the sales there are from Princeton. The rest come from outside of town. Neighborhood Ace, they had 124.6 thousand visits last year. Wow. Only 5% were from Princeton. I just want to say shop local. No, that's not on the topic, but shop local. And the South Shopping, it had 469.6 thousand visits in the last year, and only 48.3% of those were from Princeton. So I just would like for people to keep in mind that this is not just to help support the businesses in Princeton, but it is with the community members in mind. It is with the existing business owners. It is with residential people who live or may not even live in town. It is capturing dollars from other places that we have the opportunity to keep here in our community and to help the businesses here in our community who need our help. And that's my Thank
you, Lynn.
Sorry, I'm kind of rattled because I didn't come with a nice written out thing. Like I said, I didn't plan on talking, but I just wanted to give a different opinion.
Thank you, Lynn. Appreciate that. Okay, yes, go ahead. Just come on up here. And Mr. T, we can state your name.
I just have a couple questions. I don't know if it was answered or not. I was at the one meeting from Metro Center.
Sure.
It was good information, but in that meeting there was a ton of questions that were asked, and I'm not actually sure if they were ever answered. So again, that's on me. The biggest concern, one of the biggest concerns I had from the meeting wasn't, obviously for most people, we don't have our taxes raised. We sell, you go from 8 to 80 quarters to, but we want to use responsibly. And one of the things that I noticed is, I think one of the biggest concerns is how do we know, transparent-wise, it's definitely going to be used for business? Not a good for instance, one of the businesses, hey, flooding or whatever it might be. That's great. We want to help small businesses. I get that. I want to. But there's a clause in here about roads and projects and things like that that has to do, I can see beautify, but roads was the thing that stuck out to me. And I don't know what the city budgets for roads and fixing and things like that. But the concern would be, okay, we have X amount of dollars budgeted for roads. Now we got an extra BBD thing in here, it's 1%. But can we take some of that funding and use some of this funding over here and use it for roads because it's going to be produced anyway? That's a concern because that's not necessarily what it's meant for. It's meant for the business owners that are there that we're going to build or fix or whatever. And so that was, I think that's a big concern for me for that. And then oversight. There's got to be somebody in charge at some point saying, okay, we're going to fix so-and-so's building or we're going to do that. Great. We want to make sure it's being used properly for that purpose. Okay. And I'm not sure if those were answered. Like, if roads are being taken care of, great. We already had roads being taken care of before. Now we're just adding more tax to take care of roads. So that's a concern of mine. And again, I don't know how it was answered, Michael, if it was or not. I don't know if it even was. And part of it, it's just, I know there was a ton of questions about will it be actually used for the purpose it was supposed to be used for. But when that clause is there for roads and beautifying the scapes around it, is it helping? So I guess that's the question I had for it. And if those can be answered, that's
very good. Thank you. And I think what we'll do then, Mike, why don't you get back into the podium if we could? We'll just talk about that, and then we'll move on with more comments.
Well, I would just say, and thanks for all the comments, roads, while they are an eligible expense, wouldn't be something that we would prioritize with this fund. We've set our priorities based on the feedback from the community meeting, that is to help expand, support, and to draw business to Princeton. Whether that be helping a business redo their storefront, get them a new roof, help them with an HVAC system, help them with engineering. All those things go into expenses that businesses face, and those are all eligible expenses under the BDP. So while the eligible expenses are broad, it'll come down to our priorities, which is what the town hall was about, and getting that feedback and hearing what's important to the community. I think when we think infrastructure as well, we think sidewalks. Wouldn't it be great to have sidewalks out Peru Street on the west side going out so we can support those businesses via foot and bike traffic on the north end so people can get to some of our major employers, Ollie's and Ace. That's what I think when I think infrastructure improvements in the BDP.
Michael, to dovetail with the question that was asked, we started out with I call it a committee that volunteered their time with 2 council members. Just go over one more time who was on that committee. And the goal is that as we proceed forward with this business development district, they will still be the people that help get this going with the criteria, how the loans go, and we're borrowing ideas from other communities that have already been doing this. You could just explain about that, would be great.
Yeah, the distribution will be, well, if you want to go over the committee, it's myself, Mike McCall, Don Seletsky, Linda Jenica, Jeff Cecil, Teresa, and Victoria Epps in our tourism. When it comes down to how the funds will be distributed, and I have examples of this, we have a great consultant who's in our corner with us with Hometown Consulting, and they're going to help us identify, well, they've already helped us identify the priorities. Now they're going to help us with a scoring matrix. It says when someone applies, we'll identify the need, we'll identify what the result is going to be should these funds be distributed that way, and so what the return on investment is for the community. So it's all going to come down to ensuring that these projects are scoring well on that scoring matrix, and there's a lot of different criteria. I'm happy to share an example, but that's our plan moving forward, is to ensure that that scoring matrix is geared towards Princeton and what our goals are.
And so at that committee level, that moves forward, and the council has final say on those things as far as approving that or not. So we'll get a final look at that as what, similar to like what Planning and Zoning Committee, they look things over first, and then they make a recommendation to the council as a whole, and we'll be approving some things tonight that the Planning and Zoning brought before us, or will be bringing before us. So there's some checks and balances through the whole process.
Absolutely. Council has final say on all the distribution.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's see, let's do this then. Michael, we'll have you sit down again, if you don't mind, appreciate that. And then,
I have one question.
And Purdy, yep.
You said in this was included sidewalks, streets like that. I thought that was a motor vehicle tax. Motor vehicle fuel tax. Because according to the law, that's the only place it can be used.
I don't oversee the budget or how we...
Oh, okay, so if we could, we'll try to address these questions. So we know, for example, when we talk about West Prue Street, which you have a business on West Prue Street, and we are thankful for your business being there, and Heartland Auto Body. But the idea is we want to clean up the J&J property, and that's going to involve some dollars on our part, not necessarily out of this fund. That's not, we already have money earmarked, thank goodness Teresa's worked on that, and we're working on just getting some environmental studies done to make sure that what we are inheriting is not going to be a real problem for us, a real liability. But with that said, if the city didn't go in there and clean that up, who would clean that up? We've got some other properties tonight that we're going to be looking at possibly acquiring with the idea that we have to clean up because it's not fair to neighbors. And so a simple 5-foot wide sidewalk that goes out parallel with West Prue Street out to get the folks, say from Hillview, safely into town so they're not walking along and people can go out on their bicycles to the restaurants out there, things like that. So we see that as a good investment that could be, funds could come out of the account for, say, a sidewalk, not necessarily a street. The goal is not to have, like you said, street infrastructure that we would be doing anyway out of our funds, our general funds for our budget. Let's do this.
Just a quick, is it a loan or a grant that we're doing?
Okay, so it could vary, right, Michael? In other words, these different communities have done different aspects of that.
It'll be a case-by-case basis.
One more follow-up for you. Just an example, let's say the fund takes in $10,000. I don't think a lot more than that. Can a project extend for 2 years? So maybe a project costs $20,000, but you have 10. Can it go into the next year? I mean, is that part of the criteria, or is it like you got to put, we can X amount, like we got to do 4 businesses a year at the minimum, or whatever, or is it just one project can take up multiple years of the 23 years or 21 years that are there? Does that make sense?
Oh, I mean, our intent would be to not use this for one project.
Okay.
Yeah, we would certainly want to ensure that anyone who has need can tap into this, whether that be this year, the next year, or the year after that. And that's where it all kind of ties back to that scoring matrix. We can turn that back to you and say, this is where you scored lower. Here's some things we might want to see you in your application next time you approach us, and how you might better access these funds.
Michael, we're going to have you sit back down for a second, and then again, please. And now we're going to go back to any additional public comment. Feel free, then just come up to the podium. State your name, please.
Thanks. I'm Renee Tiemann, and I just have a couple of questions too. I didn't know whether to do follow-up or not because I never asked a question to begin with, right? So one of the things back in the Metro Center when we were, because I was there at that meeting too, and I know it was talked about like the median age for Princeton and for the BDD to try to get, people in. Who are you looking for, and what age are you looking at in that demographic? And I know it was, correct me if I'm wrong, it was talked about the younger age, like new families and families coming in. And so I did write, I was not even planning on speaking, so. But I look at that, and to me, looking on the out part, and I'm not, so of course, like Tim said, I don't want my taxes to go up, right? I'm not in favor of that. I have 6 kids trying to feed my family, and I have my own business too. And so, but just looking at that part, and coming as a new family, if I was to come into Princeton, there is no way for labor or delivery at all in the hospital. There's nothing that attracts the younger family. And so I'm looking at this going, how do we address those issues before we even tackle the BDD? So that's me just coming on that standpoint, and then just looking here, and I'm just, it's a question, and this is what I ask for all of my clients that I go to. What's your mission statement for the city of Princeton? Do you guys know what that is?
I'm sure there's one on our website, and like any good operation, we came up with something and we plugged that in the website, and so, but go ahead, I'm trying to answer.
So the mission is, in partnership with the community, the mission of the City of Princeton is to provide the highest quality municipal service to those who live, work, and visit our community. And so then, of course, I look at the core values, right? And so the core values of Princeton is integrity, professionalism, excellence, service, collaboration, and accountability. And so if there's needed in the community of having more education and more understanding, possibly more information of going, okay guys, this is what we're looking for, like you said that you got the information from Cole, right, the hometown of like, this is what the priorities are. Is there a way that we can make that available to the public and say this is kind of our strategic plan, and then you guys develop, like, I think, was it go for 10 years or 20 years to be? 23. Thank you. But if it goes for 23, okay, well, here's our strategic plan that we have as a city, because I've looked and I haven't seen any strategic plan that I've seen on the site given where I can download it and take a look at it.
If I can just offer, part of what Cole's deliverables is a strategic economic development action plan,
okay,
which we are developing currently by our strategizing sessions, by our town meetings. So this will have a big key to that about how we use funds to address that action plan.
Okay. And so looking at that and just looking at the community, because it's me going, if it's accountability and that's part of the core value of the city, and if you all agree to that these are your core values, one of the things, because there's a problem, right? There's that disconnect between the community and the city. Is there a way to possibly bring in on the committee that you guys have? Is there a way to bring in like a couple of business owners, small business, not the franchise, not the ones that bring multi-billion dollars, but I'm thinking more of the small businesses that bring in, where you have on the north side, south side, west side, east side, to all come in and collaborate on this, and possibly a couple of them that don't even have a brick and mortar that can help give information. And that's just me, where, okay, I see a problem in the way that we do our business. If there's a problem, there's a solution, and try to be that solution. So I'm just, those are,
Absolutely.
and how can you address the part of, if you want younger families, how can you address that part of going, okay, we really need to look at that labor delivery, because let's admit it, in this culture, in the status of this generation, it's based on fear. And so if they're fearful that they're going to have this child, and all of a sudden, oh, I'm going to have to drive an hour to a hospital. I mean, with me, I chose to drive an hour and a half to Bloomington because there's no birthing centers nearby, but that's where I went. But in that case, how do you address that type of part to really get them attracted to Princeton? So those are...
It would be by job growth, by attracting large-scale employers, and also increasing our housing stock to bring the cost of housing down.
Yeah. But you also have to look at the residents too, right? The ones that are going to live here, what's good for the kids too.
Absolutely.
So that's all I have to say.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate that. And hopefully if you stick around tonight, this will be a little bit lengthy here, but we're glad we're all here. Under the mayor's comments, I had the opportunity, the OSF invited me as well as the mayor of LaSalle to go over to Peru and tour the OSF facility in Peru, which they call the hub, and I can talk more about what OSF has got going on in a very positive manner. We went to the OBGYN and the birthing section, and there's 8 rooms over there ready to go for delivering children over there at Peru. It's not something, of course, it's in Princeton, but we're so glad that it's 20 minutes away, and it's not further than that away, because like you said, you had to go over an hour and a half. Did you want to make a comment, Lynn?
No, I just happened to, the president of OSF, of the ones on the 80 corridor, was at Rotary Tuesday and said that there will be prenatal care available at the hospital here in town. They'll just go to Peru to birth.
Okay, great.
Just wanted to throw that out there.
I appreciate that.
I've had babies. Makes a big difference.
Yeah. For new families coming in, you have to address that too.
Yeah, but I think having that here in town will help.
Thanks, Lynn, for adding on to that. Yes, go ahead. You want to give them?
Yeah, I'll
yes, good.
I don't even know why I'm bringing this. Ian Tiemann,
as I was reading and listening to a lot of the different questions, I have a couple questions, which I may have shared at the Metro Center one time, and have maybe already been answered. So let me know. First, is there a written plan for what will be done with the BDD? So I think that actually is probably answered by the strategic plan, right?
Yeah, we also have a BDD plan put together by Kirk's firm, but yeah, a strategic action plan will also be, what our overall strategy is.
Is that accessible to the public by chance?
This document will be a public document if it is adopted.
Okay. I just see that as another potential disconnect that we could probably make as a connection and make it a little bit more public. I just hope that I'm just trying to help at that point with the solution. Lastly, is there a budget for all the projects that we're looking into, especially for the municipal obligations? If you look at, I think it's the third paragraph on the, third sentence on the second paragraph of the page that we're given, it talks about how there's a specific time, so it's about up to 23 years, but it could also be, and the tax could be levied until all the projects are taken care of and the municipal obligations are taken care of and paid for. And so what I'm curious about is there a budget already that says, okay, X amount of dollars is brought in, we're going to be using it on 23% of these, the 20 percentages of different business areas to help develop them. Say, for instance, 25% to the north, 25% to the south, 25% to the east, to the west. And then once a specific amount of money has been generated and achieved, and all of the responsibilities and progress, what obligations are taken care of, will we need the 23 years? So just consider that. I do want to share one verse, and that was when creating this budget. The reason I'm suggesting that is it comes from Luke 14:28 through 30 in the Bible, and it's where Jesus says, "For which of you desiring to build a tower does not first sit down and count the costs, whether he has enough to complete it? Otherwise, when he's laid the foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it begin to mock him, saying, 'This man began to build and was not able to finish.'" So my encouragement with that is, with all the planning that has been put into this, and I appreciate that, if you can continue planning and doing some more budgeting to make sure that it is appropriately done and that some results are done, that's really cool. And hopefully all of those thoughts made sense. I feel like I'm just sharing a whole bunch of stuff that's jumbled.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Good. Let's go back now to any additional public comment. And I'm not here to, you can certainly jump back in there, but what we're going to do is we are going to, I think it's important, we're going to be actually voting on this when you go into the regular meeting, but I think while we're on this topic, I'd like to have the council members, if they make any comments about this, let's just we'll start with Hector with that and work our way to the...
Oh, sure.
Go ahead, Hector.
Well, everybody had heard my comments before as far as affordability. And one other thing is that was brought up specifically for small cities. And I think every city, including the big ones, are facing a lot of issues as far as what to do with businesses as they're going away when a lot of major big box shop businesses are taking over. One of the things that the reason we moved here, aside from our flag freedom, the towns in here, the schools, is I had my children in here, they were 4 and 6 in 2005 when I landed here with my family. So we did take a look at that. We took a look at the hospitals, even though we weren't planning on having any more kids. But that is a draw. And being at the health department, we do discuss some certain things as far as OSF, what is happening, to include what we started over at the health department with our rural health clinic, which offers women's health, birth center, women's health, and primary care. And last week we actually we had a compliance team come over and actually passed for accreditation. So That's one of the things that we were offering, which is something that we had talked about in our airplane. But again, affordability is one of the biggest things in there. At the same time, if you don't do anything to improve or to get businesses here as far as the sales tax, those are very important as well. So we're talking about as many different things to be with that. And as far as the property taxes, that's depending on the assessed value. I would prefer sales tax, eliminate property tax. Personally, if you're somebody who has a lot more income, buys things that are a lot more expensive, that qualify for our sales tax. And so there's a lot of places to kind of do that. They'd rather having property tax and actually hit everybody at the same time to include those that own homes and have to pass down to those that rent. Right? That's just my take.
Thank you, Hector. Don?
I guess as far as the birthing, I do know several couples that reside in town, and obviously they have to, if they're planning on having a family, they have to go somewhere else to have the child, but they choose to live in town because of certain aspects of town, the quality of life, there's certain aspects that draws them here, regardless of whether we have births at the hospital or not. I do want to thank the people that reached out to me past week with their concerns. Especially want to thank the people that signed their name to it, that reached out to me. but interestingly enough, I pulled out a 1984 Bureau County Republican the other day. It was a celebration of Princeton. And I looked and I studied it very closely. And it was full of advertising ads. And very interesting to look back at that time period. We had high inflation at that time. But yet you looked at it and things were pretty progressive there, it looked like. There was a lot of businesses open. Slowly those have eroded away, one by one. And it's so slow that you don't really notice it happening until you look back and see something like that. And I mean, we're going to have a business that's going to close this summer. It's over 100 years old, and it will close quietly, probably with no fanfare. And we don't notice those things happening until they're gone. And it was just an interesting read. One of their little mission statements in there was to try to retain business and retain manufacturing. We know we've lost manufacturing over time. I do really appreciate the people that have invested in Princeton. There's some people that have dumped a fair amount of money into their buildings and their businesses, and they've managed to do quite well through it all. But I think that we need to be proactive for the future. The business district is a larger district, and while our downtown Main Street old business district is important, I think it gives you a warm feeling when you see that down there. It's not that it's really efficient. It's not that it's really new, but people like that old town charm. But the business district is big enough that it takes in newer areas. It takes in other areas that quietly generate quite a bit of income that you don't really notice. And I think that we have to be a little proactive in the future of what we're doing here.
Thank you, Don. Kerry, if you would, please.
Yes.
I think that our Main Street, or some of our small businesses, that there's a slump going on right now. The economy and online shopping, and for a lot of reasons, there are business owners that were not successful, and they closed accordingly. I don't think we can blame the city of Princeton for their closings. We have done, I thought, a remarkable job of attracting people to come to town. And whether they're from Ottawa or the Quad Cities, they still find Princeton to be a very fun place to come and find that there's a lot of resources available. I think this program will help generate interest in Princeton. It'll help fill some of the stores. So I support the program. But if I had to say about things that need work in this community, I think it's the educational system. I I think it's that the schools are in dire need of funds to repair and keep them operating. You know, you talk about new families coming to town, and some of the things that they look at, my gosh, education is one of them. If you're going to bring a young family here, you want to have a sense of whether or not the school district is rated adequately or monitored adequately to provide the kind of education that you're looking for your family. So all in all, I think we've done a great job. I was part of the negotiation committee with Perry Memorial Hospital and OSF. I couldn't be more proud of the fact that we were able to change, I'm very proud of the fact that we were able to change the hospital ownership from Perry to OSF, and I can't speak enough good things about what OSF has done for this community. I was also involved in the Ollie's deal to bring them to town, and one of the things that they looked at and were pleased to see was that we have a top quality healthcare service right here in our community. Yes, they don't have birthing right now, and maybe it's not cost effective to be in Princeton, but still, that is, I think, a feather in our cap for a town of 8,000 people. So I think that this project has value and is worth giving it a try.
Thank you, Jerry.
I think, you know, I'll piggyback with Don a little bit, being proactive in the town. I think, you know, a couple comments out there from, hey, what has the city done up to this point? And when you look at our budget, previously we talked about the grocery tax. I'll bring that up, right? $400,000. We didn't have $400,000. We'd be in the deficit. I think last year we were plus a little over $200,000 on our budget. That's it. And when we have a major repair come up, that can take that away in a heartbeat. So every city pretty much that I've seen so far has readopted that. That's the state's way of putting on the cities and making the state look good, like they're getting this somehow. That's my opinion. But all in all, in this, I appreciate Lynn getting up and speaking to this too. She's been very involved. You know, a lot of us have been very involved in this. We were looking at this hard. We didn't want to, you know, we wanted to find a way to bring business to town. We wanted a way to keep the businesses we have here, and we don't have a way of doing that right now. And it's very important that business retention is a part of this, but also bringing bigger employers in. And we're kind of up against, you know, a brick wall here on offering any incentives or anything like that to be a competitive city to do so. I think this helps with that a lot. It could help us with our housing issue, where we just don't have enough inventory, you know, get more people in town, things like that. And what I love about it is transparency. That's one of the big things come up. How are we doing, right? If we heard this back from town hall, I got to spoke then, is transparency is right here. It's right in front of you. There's nothing behind any doors getting done, period. It comes down to the council in the end, and that's the end all. And everybody will see that when that's voted on to get those funds. Yes, we'll have a committee behind the doors that are going, hey, yeah, maybe we should do this or that. We've got a scoring system that Michael's talking about as well, right? So I think it's very important that if we just sit back and we don't do anything, we're going to be in a lot worse shape if we don't at least try to do something for this city. I'm born and raised here. It's very important to me. I love this city. I love living here. I don't want to move out of this city. We've got a lot of things that we need to bring to town, and this is part of it. So I fully support this for those reasons.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you to the council members for your comments. I'll just make my comments, and then we're going to go back to, again, an opportunity for public comment before we wrap this meeting up tonight. When you hire us as council members, you vote us in, and we've got a 4-year term, and at that point you can decide to fire us or to keep us on. And every one of us comes to this council table tonight with different views and different aspects, which is great. I mean, we all overall work well together. We're not throwing knives at each other. We don't get on Facebook after the meeting and beat up each other. This is a council that works well together. We may not always agree, but we respect each other. And we respect our fellow taxing bodies. And we work very well with our fellow taxing bodies. Now, I had the opportunity, there's, in your packet, there's a Mayor of Canton's had a nice little recommendation letter, and then a council person from Bartonville. I called both of those individuals, really enjoyed the Mayor of Canton, and I'm not going to read his letter, but I just would say, it just talks, the second paragraph, he comes right out of the chute saying, since March of 2022, Canton has provided assistance to over 45 local businesses for all kinds of projects, Some projects have provided stability to the buildings, and we mean stability, we mean literally stability to a building, physically. Replacing roofs and windows, new HVAC systems, tuck pointing brick, adding ADA accessibility, and aiding a variety of renovations. So I come from a concern that there's businesses and buildings on Main Street. Some of them are challenging because they're 150 years old and they're soft brick. Some of them are 3 stories tall, so you've got to have an aerial lift to get to them. So we have business owners that it's very expensive to get a brick mason to show up on a job site and do work. And so I have a concern over some of our integrity of our buildings on both the north end and the south end, that these business owners just cannot afford to take on the projects of maintaining these older buildings. That, as I'd like to think he's our historian now on our council, as Don Slutsky reminds us, there's so much history to Princeton, and that's what attracts people to town. You're not going to get people to come to town either to live here or to come spend a couple days just because we have a Walmart Supercenter. They're going to come to town because of the small businesses on Main Street that are unique, and such as Hoffman. I always talk about our Myrtle's Pie people at the north end. We, again, without forgetting the name businesses, we've got a lot of unique businesses on the north end. We have a lot on the south end. But as Mike McCall has mentioned, it's an erosion factor of businesses that just slowly have faded away. And since COVID, and it's not the business owner's fault in many ways, and it's not the city's fault, but as we know, we can call up tonight and imagine by noon tomorrow there can be a package on my porch with a smiley face on the outside of the package. But you turn that smiley face upside down, and it's that frown for our small business owners. So there's things we're not going to be able to change in this world. When I talk to fellow mayors in small towns, they all have the same challenges. But I see this as an opportunity for us to move forward in a positive manner. I'll finish this up by this. Each one of us on this council, we listen to you when we get an email, a text, and typically we try to call you back, we try to text you back. I think every one of us has done that, right? We do. And tonight we're right here, and we stay after the council meeting. We say, hey, your council members will stick around, come up and talk to us. There's already been compromises made the past 8 months this project's been in place. I came out of the chute, and you heard my story. There was mornings I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I thought, man, is this the right thing to do? And then I felt better about it, and I thought, well, I guess we need the full 1%. You know what? I had people say, whoa, let's pump the brakes. Let's compromise. Let's do a 0.5%. So we came in our council meeting from 2 weeks ago. We started the first vote on this with the understanding we've already compromised in a positive manner, trying to work with what we've heard from the public and try to come up with a fair amount that can be taxed without being an overburden on that tax, which is what we're looking at tonight is a 0.5%. So with that all said, what I'd like to do then is open this back up for additional comments from the public. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and close this meeting down. Again, we'd like to have you come up to the podium and speak if you would.
I have a question.
Sure, Michael.
Yes. You guys had a city council meeting. I didn't come down to it. You guys had a vote. You guys voted 3-2.
That's correct.
Yes. I believe that Hector Gomez, you voted no. And I believe that Jerry Norman, you voted no too. So now, my understanding is that you would like to see something with property taxes and not with sales tax. Is that sort of what you're talking about?
I say that I would prefer that in a sense to actually...
That's what I thought all along. That's why you voted no.
But of course,
see, I did not read that article in the newspaper, but I knew already why you were going to vote no, but I just didn't know what it was going to be about. And you thought it was the property taxes, yes. Do away with those sales taxes, yes. But we are pushed into that position right now to where we can't do that. We have to do that with the sales taxes. And then, Mr. Newman, you said that people did not have a chance to vote on this. I feel the same reason, same thing. I feel that if we were to go and put this before the 8,000 people in this town, would they all vote yes? I think they would vote no. And I'm wondering if this really is a good idea to do this right now, to rush into this, because are you ready to go and change your mind and vote yes tonight and go against giving the taxpayers a chance to vote?
No, my vote will not change.
It will not. That's sort of what I was wondering about, because you were sort of talking. I agree with what you people need to do. I have been here for 19 years, and I have past history with all these businesses. In 2014, I was out of work for 2 years and 1 month. 2 years and 1 month. I did not bring my job search papers with me. Okay, I walked around to all these businesses, north and south, east and west. I know all the addresses. I had to have all their signatures. No jobs. Get out. Okay, that's what they would tell me. Now they want me to come downtown and spend money, but I noticed that there's no restrooms down there and no signs. When you come to those businesses downtown and you see those signs on those businesses that says no soliciting, it's me. Let me come around to your business for 2 years and 1 month and knock on your door and want a job. You're going to get tired of it, and you're going to put up a sign that says no soliciting. I have past history with all of these businesses. Who did I get a job with? Casey's. 6 years. Retired from there. They came in from Iowa. I was hired by corporate. I didn't get a job. I have had jobs here in town. I worked at Beck's, worked at Casey's, worked at the Garden Room, and I worked over at Combined Cleaning. But I didn't get any help from these businesses up and down, north and south, and east and west. They didn't help me. And I have very good job ethics. I worked at a grocery store for 20 years. I have a pension I can draw. So it was not something with my work history. I don't know what it was. But I agree. I think that everybody should have a chance to vote on this. But this is desperate times, and we have to do desperate things. I understand that, and I see the businesses that are going out of business here in town. I've been wondering down there at Anderson Massat, are they going out of business?
Well, of course, they're the ones that got to tell us the story on that, but my understanding is that they're working their way down to, he's going to retire. He's 70 years old.
Yes.
That's his goal.
Yes. Yes.
So, and he'd love to sell that business to existing business somebody.
Well, you know what I don't understand, Ray? Is why did that man not put no money into his business?
Oh, I'm sure he did. Michael, tonight, though, we can't debate a person's business.
Well, I just wondered about that, because it's like we're going to the taxpayers for the money to help fix up these businesses, and I'm trying to figure that out, you know?
I think that the challenge is, though, if we don't do something, and I'm not saying that's not his building I'm concerned about, but let's do this. Michael, do you have any more questions?
Oh, no. I think everything's being covered really good.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Let's go back. Yes, Geraldine, go ahead.
Make it legal and come in. Just a quick question. Why is it 23 years?
Herb would buy your best one in.
The statute allows up to 23 years.
So in other words, if we say at the end of 10 years, we can cut it?
They can if they want to. You just have to be mindful if they have any agreements in place with the business that's carrying on for more than 1 year. But the statute allows up to 23 years. Part of the reason, I think, if you go back into the history of the statute, common commercial loan term is if a business is going to go to a bank and borrow money, is 20 years. So this gives them time to develop their plans, decide they're going to invest in their business, and then get a 20-year loan.
The other was, we talked about this before, people can get grants, but there's one business here in town that I'm rather proud of. They were on Main Street and decided to move off of Main Street, put up a building, have all the equipment and tables they need, and did it on their own.
Very good. Thanks, Geraldine. Anyone else? Otherwise, what we'll do then is, Herb, any closing comments you'd like to make? Michael, any closing comments?
I have one question. The fairgrounds is included in that?
Yes.
I didn't think they were annexed into the city, are they?
That's on the agenda tonight.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So, Michael, one more alibi, as I call it, thing I forgot about was, so in the process of trying to have good transparency and feedback, you had met with a local coffee shop. Could you just get to the point and just explain how that went with meeting them face to face, and that might be one, I think it's very helpful when you get a sense of where this is all going.
Sure. That was one of many conversations I've had with local businesses about they have a little confusion about what we're trying to do, what our goals are, what the impact on them is going to be. And we sat down and had a really positive conversation, and within about 5 minutes of chatting, we were on the same page. We agreed that someone has to do something, and the city is taking that baton. Very positive conversation.
So it went from maybe a negative perception with this program to a positive perception. Just a matter of communicating to that coffee shop owner.
Correct.
Very good. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. Okay, with that said, if there's not any further comments from the public, what we're going to do is, Gary, if you would, we're going to formally close out this.
Can I come up and say something?
Yes, sir. Just state your name, please.
My name is Matt. I've lived in Princeton for 17 years. Princeton, I lived in Quincy for 4 years, Ottawa the rest of my life before I came here. And Princeton is by far the most wonderful community that I've ever lived in. I absolutely love it. I've watched my 4 kids go to school, develop into wonderful people. And I know some of these conversations definitely are not easy to have. But I agree with you. I worked with John Deere, Seeding and Moline. I did get laid off at the end of September. But the first words out of most of the people's mouths when they asked where I was from, I said it was from Princeton, Illinois. The first things they would talk about are about the 2 beautiful downtowns that we have with the special mom and pop shops. And I'm so proud of this community. What we done with it, I agree that something needs to be done. But this place has a lot of potential with the location, with the 2 locations of the downtowns. This is a wonderful place to live. So I just hope everyone can come to a compromise and something can get done and the 2 downtowns can flourish, because it's a beautiful thing and it's done wonders for my family. So thank you.
We appreciate that. That's a great way to wrap up comments. I appreciate that. Okay, Jerry, if you would, please.
Yes. I move that we adjourn our public hearing and convene to our regular council meeting.
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez. Aye. McCall.
Aye.
Zaleski.
Aye.
And Mayor Maker.
Aye. Sorry about that. I was thinking about my... Thank you. Appreciate that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go back into the regular format. So we'll go ahead and open the city council meeting by the clerk calling the roll, please.
Mayor Maker.
Here.
Councilmember Newman.
Here.
Gomez.
Here.
McCall.
Here.
And Zaleski.
Here.
Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now on this public part of public comment, we do ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes or less if possible. And typically we may not be able to respond to your concerns, and maybe don't have the information. So with that said, we go to public comment at the beginning of the meeting as well as at the end. You can speak both times. Is there anyone who would like to speak to the council tonight about anything? We're good. Okay. Seeing none, I'll go ahead now and we'll get the approval of the minutes, please, Jerry.
I move that we approve the minutes from our regular council meeting on March 2nd, 2026.
Second. Motion and a second concerning those minutes. Is there any questions or comments from the council concerning those? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
Zaleski.
Aye.
And Mayor Maker.
Aye. Thank you. Now on to the approval of the invoices with City Clerk Janet Henning.
In the Department of Accounts and Finances, we have $128,373.59. In the Department of Streets and Public Improvements, $83,452.65. The Department of Public Safety, $287,468.05. And the Department of Public Property and Utilities, $879,023.12, with a grand total of $1,378,317.41. Mayor, all council members present have confirmed the reviews of all the invoices, and they're now submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve the invoices as presented.
Second.
We have a motion to approve those invoices as well as a second. Is there any questions or concerns from the council concerning these invoices? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
Zaleski.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye.
Next on the agenda, we have a recommendation for a special use petition for Living Faith Church.
Jerry, don't you make the motion?
I move that we approve the recommendation for a special use permit for Living Faith Church.
Second.
Okay, now thank you for that motion second. Before we vote on that, let's go ahead and we'll have Michael, do you want to address that? What do we have going on? If there's anybody from the audience that needs to speak about that, that's great too. We appreciate that.
Living Faith Church, whose contingency is with us tonight. Had a couple different locations in mind, but Plan Commission had some concerns about those, though this is a good one. Plan Commission thoughts is the old Tumbleson Auction Building at 1641 North Main Street. There's a clarification on that address just last week, but it is 1641 North Main Street. The Plan Commission voted unanimously in favor of it. So,
okay. Any questions from the council concerning that? I think we're good then. Thank you. And I don't think we have any comments from the team and family. You're good with that? And I know, like you said, you had looked at other locations, so tonight we say amen, right? Amen. Amen. Very good. Okay. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
Selesky.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye. Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have a suspension of requirement for the second reading on ordinance O-26-005, an ordinance annexing the real estate pursuant to 65 ILCS 5/7-1-8, Bureau County Fairgrounds.
I move that we suspend the requirements for a second reading on ordinance O-26-005.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. What we're going to go ahead and approve that, and then we'll go and explain what that's all about on the next ordinance. So, if there's any questions or comments from the council, clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
Selesky.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is ordinance O-26-005, an ordinance annexing real estate pursuant to 65 ILCS 5/7-1-8, Bureau County Fairgrounds. This would be the final reading.
I move that we approve ordinance O-26-005.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Now, before we vote on that, Michael, if you don't mind, you're going to come back up and explain what you got going on there. Yes.
So, when we look at West Peru Street, we identify the whole area with our business development proposal and things we want to address out there. And one of those things, is good transportation, but another thing was the appearance of maybe the fairgrounds and some of us being privy to some of their goals, but also being held back from those goals by financial struggles. So the only way to get them in the district was to annex them to city limits, which Jenica, who's on the fair board, she did a great job of explaining to the fair board exactly what this is all about. They were really jazzed up about it, and they happily are annexing into the city. So.
Very good. Now, before you sit down, Councilman, have any questions about that? What are we doing?
So much a good idea.
I agree.
Nothing about that prohibits livestock noise.
We're going to need to pass a resolution granting them grandfathered use, but we've already kind of discussed that with them, that is our intent. So we'll have that in the near future.
They will be able to conduct business as a fair with tractor pulls, no noise complaints, livestock.
Absolutely.
And we've been working on this, like I said, with Jenica, so you've already thought about those things, so we're good. We consider the Bureau County Fair to be its own little powerhouse out there. A lot of activities every weekend go on at the fairgrounds. We appreciate that. Okay, with that said, no other questions or comments. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
Selesky.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye.
Next on the agenda, we have a suspension of requirement for a second reading on ordinance O-26-006, an ordinance annexing real estate pursuant to 65 ILCS 5/7-1-8. This is for the Riker property.
I move that we suspend the requirement for a second reading on ordinance O-26-006.
Second.
We have a motion and second. What we're going to discuss it again like we did with the fairgrounds property on the second ordinance below that. So go ahead then. With that said, clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
Selesky.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye. Okay.
Next on the agenda, then, we have ordinance O-26-006, an ordinance annexing real estate pursuant to 65 ILCS 5/7-1-8. This would be the final reading.
I move that we approve ordinance O-26-006.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. And Michael, I don't think you did stand up, but basically it's because they have land that it kind of intertwines in between the fairgrounds land, so it made sense to annex that in as well.
They're going to be surrounded on three sides. And there's not a big effect to them, really. We did the math on that. They thought it was minimal enough to agree to come in. So.
Okay. Any questions from the council on that? Seeing none, clerk call roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
Gillespie.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye.
Next on the agenda, we have ordinance O-26-004, an ordinance designating and approving the Princeton Business District Number 1 and imposing a retailer's occupation tax, a service occupation tax, and a hotel operator's occupation tax within Princeton's Business District Number 1. This would be the second and final reading.
I move that we approve ordinance O-26-004.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This is what our emphasis was for tonight. So with that said, is there any additional questions or comments from the council before we take a vote on this tonight? Seeing none, clerk call roll.
Councilmember Newman.
I support the program, but I vote no because I think that this approval of this should be done by the community at large, not the city council.
Gomez.
After listening to a lot of people, even emails and person to person, again, I don't like tax, but I do believe that you have to do something to be able to help the city itself. So, even though from the last time we did this, I was kind of in between, and I don't like the taxes, but I think it's something that has to be done. So, in this case, I would say yay.
McCall.
Aye.
Gillespie.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye. Very good. Thank you, council.
All right, next on the agenda, then we have ordinance O-26-007, an ordinance approving an agreement for purchase of property commonly known as 526 North Chestnut Street. This would be the first reading.
I move that we advance ordinance O-26-007 to the second reading.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Now, before we go on to vote on that, let's see, who would like to discuss this as a council, or to the council? Teresa, would you like to take this, or Michael's turn? Because it's been a long...
Well, yeah, go ahead, go, Michael. We've got the opportunity to obtain the property. That's been kind of a headache, as everybody knows. But I'll let Michael talk about the details.
Our
We're looking at here.
The property owner who does not occupy the premises understands that it was either this or we were going to push for demolition of the residence. Both of us understand that the house is blighted, but it is not beyond saving, and she is ready to wash her hands of it. We can obtain it for a low amount and hopefully get back our costs, get a new family in there, and keep a house standing that has historical significance. Would be a lot cheaper to renovate than it is to rebuild there. So it's in a nice neighborhood otherwise, and we're optimistic this will be a good change for that neighborhood.
Michael, thank you for that. Teresa, would you like to add anything on that?
No, not right now.
Council, we all know which property we're talking about, and I think that we just want to say thank you to the neighbors for being extremely patient as we worked on this to try to resolve this issue. If there's no other further questions or comments, let's go ahead and call the roll on that.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
Gillespie.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next, we have ordinance O-26-008, an ordinance amending the City of Princeton, Bureau County, Illinois, budget for the fiscal year commencing May 1st, 2025, and ending April 31st, 2026. This is the first reading.
I move that we advance ordinance O-26-008 to the second reading.
Second.
Motion and second. Teresa, if you would just give us an overview on that, please.
Sure. In your packet there is about 2.5, really about 2 pages of some amendments for the fiscal year that we're currently in. Not to get confused with the budget that I'm working on for next year. So you'll see if the numbers are in parentheses, it's a decrease in the budget. It's not. It's generally an increase in revenue for expenditures. Some of these you see every year when it comes to, especially in the fire department with contract services, the ambulance billing can be very it fluctuates every year based on calls, so that can go up, it can go down, but it is often offset in the revenues, so if you see it as an expense, you're incurring it as a revenue as well. So some of the bigger ones, I'll take you down to the administrative department, miscellaneous revenue. I point out that one because it does seem like a big jump in what we would consider miscellaneous. What was brought in there, a large chunk of that was a refund from Illinois Municipal League Risk Management Association. We did receive we call it a rebate, unused funds, we'll say, that was given back to us for kind of we had a good year. So it was nice to have $75,000 given back to us on that one. On the second page, you'll see in the electric department a significant amount going back into miscellaneous revenue. We are cashing in a CD that the electric department currently has to help offset some of the expenditures related to the 2 engines that we've incurred. This is what that CD was set aside for when something like this happened. I will just say, when Jeff and I talked about this, I don't know if we'll need it. If we don't, it'll roll back into a CD. So we'll just, if it's there and we need it, it'll be there. So any other ones that I don't think are major? If you have questions on even, let me know though. Probably the bigger jump is in the Economic Development Fund, the very last one, and that's incurring the expenditures from the BDD discussion and going through this process. So you'll see a pretty big jump there. And they'll be in consultant fees, legal fees, and that type of stuff. So any questions on that?
So the expenses for the VDD in the preparation is just going to come out of our regular budget, so it won't be part of the distribution?
Well, we'll have to keep it in mind with it'll be coming out of this budget where we can reimburse ourselves. Unfortunately, it'll be in the next fiscal year.
Okay. All right. No, that's my understanding.
But it is nice to keep in mind that we can absorb some of that back.
Yes.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you, Teresa. I think we're good on that. Thank you for that part. With that said, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
Selewski.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye.
Next on the agenda, we have Resolution R-26-006, authorizing the city manager to agree to the zoning settlement.
Move that we approve resolution R-26-006.
Second.
A motion and second. Now, if you could, Teresa, when you see the word settlement, that doesn't mean a monetary settlement. Is it just? Go ahead.
It's an agreement
of
dispute of the debt. So no exchange of funds at this point. So
very good. Thank you, Teresa, on that. If there's any questions or comments from the council, otherwise, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
Selewski.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye.
Next, we have Resolution R-26-007, authorizing the award of contracts to low bidders for water treatment chemicals for 2026.
Move that we approve resolution R-26-007.
Second.
So we have a motion second on that, and we understand, Teresa, your chuckle there. It's hard to pronounce these words. That's why these people that are Class A wastewater people, that's a field in itself.
It is.
So go ahead, if you don't mind.
Every year when this happens. So we did go out for bid again for the water chemicals. As you remember, a couple years ago, we were seeing sometimes a 300% increase in water chemical prices. So we decided to keep this up with the bidding each year. So this year, the low bids, as you see on the resolution in paragraph 2, are going to Alexander Chemical Corp. for hydrofluorophilic acid. There's a couple students that can probably correct me on this stuff. And to Brentag for the hydrate lime. Lime had a significant increase this year. Rawwall Chemical for the sodium hypochlorite. And S.J. Smith for the carbon dioxide.
That said, I guess we probably don't have any questions on that. We have pretty straightforward. We have a motion second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
Selewski.
Aye.
and Mayor Mabry.
Aye. Okay. Now on to the board appointment.
Board appointment. I move that we appoint Stephanie Reinhardt to fill the unexpired term of Eileen Wolf, with the term ending or expiring in June of 2026.
Good motion and second. I don't think any questions or concerns about that. We appreciate the library board. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
Gillespie.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye. Now on to our city manager, Teresa Whitnauer, with the report, please.
In your packet is the Princeton Firefighters Pension Fund monthly report for January 31st, 2026. And a reminder, next Monday at 5 o'clock, we will have our budget planning session for the fiscal year 27 budget. I think everybody's done. Maybe your first year going through it. So I think I've kind of gotten a comfortable place with the budget for next year. We got some significant projects in there again, so we're trying to balance all of that out, but I'm in a comfortable spot with it now. Last thing I will point out are jobs. If you've been watching job postings for the city, we currently have 2 active positions that are seeking applications. Electric generation maintenance operator, those are due on Friday. Water treatment distribution operator, those are due on the 27th of this month. I anticipate in the next week or 2 we will have the 2 labor positions, 1 for cemetery and 1 for street. And then we'll have, in the next couple weeks, 2 department head positions too that will be getting posted. So.
Anything else, Teresa?
Did I forget any of them? That's the thing.
Great, Teresa. Anything else on that?
No.
I'm going to have a couple of mayor's comments here, but one of the things is Teresa mentioned about the opening for a person in labor at the street department and a person for the cemetery department. Think about this. It's so exciting. When you come to work for the city of Princeton, which we think is a great place to work, at great benefits, you can work your way up. So there is a officer that now is a canine officer with our police department that started on the back of the garbage truck, and he's worked his way up, and pretty soon he might be the next chief.
Never know.
Never know. That's right. So there's great opportunities working for the city, and there's and you know the garbage truck, and we appreciate the guidance that the past council had on getting mechanical garbage trucks. They're not hanging on the back of the truck, and so even that job is a pretty darn good job. I mean, so with that said, I'm going to just make a few comments at the podium here, and we will keep this meeting moving along. I know it's a little lengthy here. But as I say, lengthy is good. When I first became mayor, the first council meeting I was up here, I donated the print up there on the wall there, and that's a Norman Rockwell print of a person speaking to a public body, and it shows the person with kind of some work clothes on, and they got a little bit of a tan face, and their hands are calloused, and the persons around them have business suits on. It really represents the fact that anybody coming up here to speak is given the same respect as anyone else. So tonight was a prime example of that. We appreciate the people coming tonight and listening. And we listen to you, and we listen to you all the time. As we said earlier, if you email us, if you call us, if you text us, we do respond back, and we try hard to do that. Ideally, if you email us and text us and make a comment that this is Bill or anonymous, sometimes it gets a little hard to respect that. We really like the dialogue back and forth, knowing who we're talking to. A couple of quick things here tonight. If I could, I'm going to go ahead and read this proclamation, and I'm going to just elaborate on this, but this is a proclamation of Vietnam Veterans Week, whereas March 29th is designated as National Vietnam War Veterans Day, a day to honor and thank the brave men and women who served in the Vietnam War, and whereas the service and sacrifices of Vietnam veterans and their families have had a profound impact on our nation, and we are deeply indebted to them for their courage and dedication, and whereas it is fitting that we take time to recognize and appreciate the contributions of these heroes and to ensure that their stories and sacrifices are never forgotten, and whereas the City of Princeton, Illinois proudly acknowledges the service and sacrifices of our Vietnam veterans and their families. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City of Princeton, Illinois, hereby recognizes and honors National Vietnam War Veterans Week on March 24th through March 29th of 2026, and encourages all residents to join in expressing their gratitude to our Vietnam veterans and their families. In witness hereof, I, Raymond Mabry, Mayor of the City of Princeton, do hereby affix my signature in the seal of the City of Princeton on this 16th day of March, 2026. So with that said, there's many times we do proclamations, but I just want to, in all due respect, and a lot of times veterans don't want to be recognized, we have veterans this evening that served either actually in Vietnam or during the Vietnam War. And as we like to say, because I was a guy that carried a weapon for 27 years, not in the Vietnam War, but I never fired my weapon at all. But there's always about 4 soldiers, military people that are behind the person in the front line, whether they're in the trenches or on a ship or on a plane. So tonight we'd like to recognize all Vietnam veterans here, whether you served actually in Vietnam or assisting in that service. And tonight we have Jerry Newman, who served in the United States Marines. We appreciate your service, Jerry. We have John Isaacson, that served in the United States Air Force. And we have our city treasurer, Bob Davidson, who served in the Army. Is there anyone else here tonight that's a Vietnam veteran? Ernie, please, what did you serve in? What,
Air Force, Forward Air Control Post.
Air Force. Okay, Forward Air Control Post. Okay. Is there anyone else here tonight? Let's give... Oh, your husband. Okay, very good. Geraldine. Let's go ahead and give them a round of applause. We appreciate that. And I've heard it said many times, but it's so true with Vietnam veterans. We say welcome home to the Vietnam veterans. The other things, on the good side, the mayor gets invited to a lot of things. I'm going to keep this real short, but the Bureau Valley FFA sent out a nice invitation, and they were having a legislative night up at Manlius at the Bureau Valley High School. And the Bureau Valley FFA is a pretty active organization, so I thought, well, why do they need the mayor of Princeton to go up there for a legislative night? Because they invited some state representatives as well. But I enjoyed going up there, and I explained to them that my jurisdiction really, our jurisdiction really runs to the city limits. And as they nicely remind me, though, what happens in Princeton happens all over Bureau County in a positive manner, and in many ways, we influence the whole county, or the county seat in that whole respect as well. We sure enjoy all of our small communities that make up Bureau County, but last Wednesday night I was up there at Manlius. They had a nice program. They had State Representative Dan Swanson. If you remember, Dan Swanson was actually one of our state representatives until he redistricted. And believe it or not, he still has an attraction to that Bureau Valley FFA school up there in Manlius. They're not even in his district, but he came and he had a great presentation. Dan's got a great bio. He farms. He raises 10,000 head of hogs every year. He's had served 27 and a half years in the Army. He retired as a lieutenant colonel in the Army. And so as I told him as an E6 that I retired as an E6, he still outranks me in so many ways. But it was great to be around Dan and had a chance to learn a little bit more about him. And that Bureau Valley FFA, they got their A game going. The other thing I just wanted to say, I mentioned OSF invited the mayors to come over to Peru and get a better understanding of what goes on. And as Jerry mentioned and Lynn mentioned, it's an asset, tremendous asset. And I commend the previous council for working with that challenge of getting a municipal hospital on the rolls as a private entity per se. And there's a lot of loose ends. There's employees. There was retirements. We had to be very sensitive to all that went on there in that whole process. And I know you guys took about a year to work on that whole process. 2 years. Yeah. It's like a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. It was. Yes. So good for you, Jerry. We appreciate your efforts on that, and the previous Mayor Quirm to work on that. So they invited us to come over to Peru and explain how the hub works. So basically, you've got this Interstate 80 that they call the hub that includes hospitals in Streator, Ottawa, Princeton, and Mendota that feed into Peru. And the state-of-the-art equipment that they're investing in the Peru facilities is just unbelievable. So we're all in good hands with OSF. I feel that very, very strongly. The other thing would be tomorrow. This is the final comment. I'll sit down. Tomorrow is primary voting in Bureau County, or primary voting in the state of Illinois. So please get out there and vote. That's critical, and man, if you don't vote, it's just shame on you. That's a great opportunity and something that our veterans helped defend your right to do that. So get out there and vote tomorrow morning, please. I say in the morning. Better vote in the morning than in the evening. You may all of a sudden forget it and think, oh, dang. Okay, very good. Thank you tonight for everybody's public comments and input. Appreciate that. Okay, now we're going to go on to old business, and it was asked that we got these two issues on there we're still working on, so I don't want to sound like we're delaying it. With the e-bikes and the electric scooters, we're still waiting to hear from the state of Illinois and some guidance there with different laws. And the THC infused beverages, we talked about there's some of the businesses in town have pulled that off their shelves for the time being, and again, we're waiting for some direction on that.
There will be some federal regulations on that.
Federal level, okay. So we commend those Princeton retailers that pulled that off the shelves and are not selling that. And we would encourage anybody that still has it on the shelves, if they could to pull that off, we'd appreciate that. Is there any new business for the council this evening? Seeing none, is there any additional public comment? This is your last chance tonight to say something. Again, the council will stick around for a few minutes. You can talk to the council members afterwards. Any official public comment? Seeing none, would Jerry, please?
I move that we adjourn our regular meeting this evening and reconvene for our next city council meeting on Monday, April 6th, 2026, 6 p.m. at City Hall.
Second.
Motion second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez. Aye. McCall.
Aye.
Gillespie.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned, and feel free to stick around if you want to. Thank you. Stick around.